So last time I talked about nostalgia and how smell, aroma, fragrance can bring us right back to our youth. I also showed you a shooting location to a popular 80s/90s sitcom, The Wonder Years. But do you recognize this house? This house right here behind me? I'll give you a clue. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? Did you get it? That's right. That's the house of Biff Tannen. So no kidding, folks. The house of Biff Tannen's grandmother, featured in Back to the Future films. Now that would have been the garage right back there. Remember that sequence? But the house looking very good, just like it did in the film. If you remember, there was also a sequence where Biff Tannen's walking down this sidewalk right here and grabs a young kid's basketball and asks him, "Do you want this back?" And the kid's like, "Give it back, give it back." And he tosses that basketball right up onto that ledge of that house right there. See that ledge? That would have just been 2 doors down. And if that wasn't enough, I got some more nostalgia for you. That house also used for another Michael J. Fox classic, Teen Wolf. Yes, that's the house right there. And a little piece of trivia, that was also the house used for Lorraine's house in Back to the Future. In fact, if you look right here, you see that big branch protruding? That was the branch that George McFly, Marty McFly's father, was sitting on with his binoculars spying on Lorraine. Gotta love this stuff. So Jack from Rocket Fizz, super nice guy. I asked him to put together his pick of top 4 diverse, nostalgic soda pop. And I think he gave me a great selection. I'm gonna bring these home, put a nice chill on them, and do a side-by-side comparison. Of course, I'm going to smell them, but I'm not an idiot. I'm also gonna taste them too. Let's do it. All right, so how we doing, guys? So I told you that I was in Burbank and I went to Rocket Fizz. Now, Jack at Rocket Fizz put together a pretty great selection. So joining me today is going to be my sister-in-law, Monica.
Hi, everyone.
She's insisting on being in the video, and how could I say no? So I'm very familiar with wine tastings, but I'll be honest, doing soda tastings is a little bit challenging because you're dealing with intensity of flavors, you're dealing with sweetness levels, but you're also dealing with very cold temperatures. So I'm going to do my best to taste these in the right order, and knowing absolutely nothing about the flavor profiles of these sodas does not help. And so I think this is going to be this is going to be my best guess for order of operation.
So this will be the first one.
So we have original knee-high peach soda since 1924. So Jack mentioned that this was definitely a must as far as nostalgia is concerned. Because these are great wine glasses to use for any kind of sensory evaluation for beverages, because they're small. You don't want one of those really, really big wine glasses when you're doing wine tasting. And you also don't want the temperatures of your beverages too cold. The temperature being too cold is going to stifle the flavors. And since these are carbonated, we're going to try to not agitate these too much.
What do you need these for?
That's going to, after I sniff this, I'm going to put this on here. That's going to hold in the aromatics.
Okay.
So coming through right off the bat, very strong peach schnapps, stone fruit forward. You know, something when I'm talking about wine, I always mention a descriptor, peach pit. And although that seems silly, if you smell a peach pit, actually it does have a very distinct aroma to it. Okay, very cool, very cool. I'll let you don't taste that yet, but I'll let you give that a sniff while I open up. Big Red. So,
What flavor is
second
this
on
one?
the list, I have absolutely no idea. This is called Delicious Big Red, and underneath that it says different. I think what they're going for is Big Red, delicious, different. Made with real sugar. All right, something that you don't see often anymore. Something maybe I should do is read off the sugar content. The peach was 49 grams of sugar per serving.
This one is
So
38.
So when I said lighter on the sugar, I was absolutely wrong. This is 38, so this is going to be a much, I mean, I guess it's relative, right? But much less sugar than we saw on the knee-high soda. Again, I have no idea of the flavor profile here.
This one has a very pretty color, right?
I mean, have you heard of any of these other than the Frosty? You never even heard of Frosty.
But I didn't grow up here, so all of them, they look
Well,
very strange to me.
Ooh.
This
So
is the peach.
it's reminding me of gum, but not Big Red gum. This is Hubba Bubba Double Bubble Bazooka Joe bubble gum.
Let
I
me
mean,
see.
tell me that is big time bubble gum.
To me, it smells like that cherry hard candy. Smell it
Cherry hard candy.
Mm-hmm.
I see where you're going with that. I'm gonna say this. Think of Dum Dums.
No.
The little itsy bitsy lollipops.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're super
okay.
small Dum Dums, right?
Okay, yeah, can I
Like
just one
cherry. It has like a cherry medicinal.
Okay, I can see it, yes.
Like Luden's cough drop medicinal kind of cherry. She was definitely, I think, on point with that.
But I still think it's that cherry hard candy.
The more I
Smell,
smell it, the
yeah.
more I'm getting the cherry lollipop you get at the doctor's office. The circular medallion lollipop. Interesting. Now, we are going to taste these. We're just going to go through the smells first. So, third on the flight of sodas, Frosty, vanilla root beer. Frosty.
But there's no alcohol in it, right?
No alcohol.
No alcohol.
No alcohol. 43 grams of
yeah.
sugar. So the order of this flight may not be perfect, but we're learning here. It's funny how little, I'm sure a soda aficionado could teach me a little. It's a little bit lighter than Coca-Cola. Maybe. I could be wrong. I don't drink Coca-Cola often. It smells like A&W's, A&W Barks root beer. It's not a spicier sarsaparilla kind of root beer. Surprisingly, the vanilla is not really coming through
Maybe it's gonna
too much on the nose. Once you get it really in your nose, it starts to have that root beer candy, the root beer barrel candies.
But it smells like medicine a little.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, but that's I think what I come to expect from
The root beer, right?
root beer,
Yeah.
right? That it does have that. I mean, I'm not quite sure of the full history of root beer, but I'm sure it was used for medicinal purposes at one point. Am I wrong about that? You guys tell me.
But
But if someone said to me, "This is a root beer," or "Is this a vanilla root beer?" I'm gonna say that. I mean, to me, this is a Muggs root beer, Barks root beer, A&W root beer. You can maybe throw Stewart's root beer in that mix too. But some of the other root beers that you might be familiar with, like Virgil, they're going to have a little bit more of the aggressive spices and those medicinal herbal qualities that we talked about. I love root beer.
Okay, herbal. I missed that. Let me see it again.
Oh, I don't smell too much of that.
Any particular herbs?
In that, no. Okay, so last on the list, this is the one I'm probably anticipating the most.
Have you ever had it?
I've never had it. I've never heard of it. I don't think.
Look at the year.
It's called Moxie. I'm sure you guys know this. You're probably saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's never tried one of these before." Established in 1884. These, I'm
those
sure, are
recipes
nostalgic
are pretty old,
for somebody. Moxie Original Elixir. So Elixir, definitely a name linked to healing qualities, medicinal qualities. This is interesting. All right, so color. Really, I'm not kidding. I mean, I wish I could, I'd say a little bit more about the difference, but these actually look very similar. We did open this up several minutes ago, but if I remember correctly, the root beer did not have as much carbonation. You can see this is very, very effervescent, this soda. It's got a lot of bubble action happening inside here. How much sugar is in that?
I think 37. Yeah, 37 grams. It smells like Coca-Cola a little, no?
Okay, well, how do you know? Did you smell the bottle?
Just, briefly.
It has a cola aroma. I wouldn't say necessarily Coca-Cola. Are you familiar with RC Cola?
Yeah.
It's a very traditional cola smell. A major grocery store, a supermarket, and you get the store brand cola. It just says cola. Okay, this is where it's getting interesting, because if I was smelling this and you told me there was alcohol in it, I might believe you. There's Amaro. So if you've ever had like an aperitif Amaro, one of those aperitif after dinner liqueurs that have a lot of those different root flavors. They're slightly bitter and heavy, dark amber colored. Okay. Give me a second. Fernet, right? Fernet. All you bar folks out there. It's not a popular drink for the customers, but for the people behind the bar, Fernet is something that is commonly, they take shots of because no one else orders it. Okay, all right. So I'm glad I made that connection. Take a smell of that.
Let me see again.
To me, this has more of an herbal medicinal, medicine bag, doctor's office.
Oh, really? This one?
Yeah.
So I would.
It's a completely subjective thing. So I'm going to give these another quick sniff, see if they've changed at all since they've had a chance to warm up immediately. So you see what I mean? It's had a chance to warm up. It has throwing off much more aromatics out of the glass. That big peach. Again, to me, it's coming through as the peach schnapps.
It's peach schnapps.
Slice that peach in half. You pull out the pit, the core of the peach, that part of the peach that's just red, just a little bit red. You smell that or you taste that. It's a very concentrated peach, and that's what's coming through in the glass. Let's give it a taste.
So what do you think? Let me see.
Sweet, very sweet.
Whoa.
The flavor, I think the nose accurately portrays the flavor.
Can you taste the peach? I can smell it. Let me see.
I'm still tasting it. One thing that I wish that I'd see more of is a higher acidity level in the soda. I think if this was a little bit more acidic, a little bit more tart, it would cut the sweetness a little bit.
I was going to say it's flat, but I forgot that we kept it in the glass for a while. Carbonation helps.
Carbonation helps. It's not a very strong carbonation. All right, so knee-high. I like it. I would cut this with maybe some sparkling water that's really got a lot of carbonation to it.
I think it would mix nicely with other drinks.
Yeah.
Mix it with sparkling water, add a lot of ice, and I think maybe some lime juice to just cut the sweetness.
I mean, I definitely, I'm all about that. Like, if you want to add a wedge of lemon, grapefruit, citrus in any form, really here.
I think lime would go well with it, just because of that bitterness, just because of that.
All right, so moving on to Big Red, delicious, different. I think I'm getting more of the Luden's cough drop on the palate. When I was a
Cherry
kid, I
cough
remember
drop.
like there was a product that was like mouthwash, but it was bubblegum flavored. No, you don't remember? Do you remember anything like that? So it was like a bubblegum mouth rinse thing. It just has this like it belongs in the bathroom medicine cabinet flavor.
But let's drink it with some carbonation,
We'll
because this is
empty
pretty
it out.
flat. Yeah.
I understand these are sodas, but I just can't get over the ratio of sweetness to acidity. The carbonation does help. And let me be clear, there is acidity in these sodas, because one little trick to tell the levels of acidity, as soon as you take a sip of wine or soda like this, relax your tongue. Take your tongue, take a sip of this, right?
Okay.
And after you swirl it around and swallow, just relax your tongue. Almost let your tongue just hang free in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you salivating just underneath your tongue a little bit?
Oh yeah, of
like
course.
behind
Of
the
course.
bottom
Mhm.
teeth?
Yeah.
So the more you salivate underneath your tongue after you take a sip of a beverage, the more acidity that's in that solution.
Yeah, it's,
And it does have, I'm guessing, some like citric acid
oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
flavor.
For me, again, it's just this hard candy, cherry flavored hard candy.
No question, and I agree 100%. I could see how that would be nostalgic, but I could also see why this hasn't stood the test of time, and folks have moved on to such things like Mountain Dew and Sprite, things that have a little bit more punch and carbonation and a little bit more brightness or acidity.
I am very curious.
Frosties vanilla root beer. In fact, this is a very familiar, whereas all of these did not feel familiar in the soda world sense. This does seem familiar. What I enjoy about this is the texture, the mouthfeel, the body on this soda is a bit more substantial. It feels weightier on the palate. The carbonation is very tight. It has more of that sharp, piercing, sparkling sensation.
But I think they all need a little more acid, and the flavor would be much better. No?
Yeah.
I mean, the sugar would be still there, but at least.
But then again,
yeah.
it's like, maybe that's just not what soda drinkers want. I mean, when people smell or taste coffee and they're like, this is just too bitter, and bitter might seem like they've made a mistake. Sometimes a moderate amount of bitterness in a coffee is very pleasant. The same thing in chocolate. A moderate amount of bitterness in a chocolate could be pleasant, but for some people it's not. So maybe I'm saying it's not pleasant for me, that there's so much sweetness and not enough acidity, but for some folks, they think that having the higher level of sweetness
It's a German company.
All right, so now we have something to talk about. It's bitter. There's an astringency on this soda. Definitely Amaro. If you've ever, do you know Amaro? Are you familiar?
I do, yeah.
Fernet. I mean, if you've just ever
Fernet, I've never had it.
If you've never, if you hang out with these, bar folks, the mixologists and bartenders, Fernet is something that's really popular with them, and the bitterness of that beverage is
this
definitely...
one has a big aftertaste, right?
You know, I wonder, what's the soda that they have at Disney World that everyone talks about from Italy? God, I'm embarrassed I can't remember what it is right now, but they have it at Epcot Center, and people always joke about how bitter it is. I'm guessing this is similar.
Is it Beverly? That's the one you're talking about?
Beverly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in Epcot Center, if you've ever tasted their flights of sodas, Beverly. I think I'm satisfied. I want to thank Jack from Rocket Fizz for providing these 4 sodas. I think that if you're ever in Burbank and you're looking to fulfill your nostalgic needs, Rocket Fizz is definitely a place to stop off at. And if any of these sounded great, pick them up. And if you've had these before and these are a part of your youth or your childhood, chime in the comments below. Give me some feedback. Give us some feedback of what you think of these. And better yet, I'm going to leave you with the question: based on the flavor and aromatic profiles that we've described, also based on if you've had these before, what foods are you going to pair with these 4 wildly different beverages? None of these were the same. I think maybe you can make some comparisons between the last 2, but really these are far different. So what would you pair with these? But so yes, please chime in, leave comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Okay, so we've concluded the tasting, and I haven't presented Monica with this proposition yet. This isn't a spit bucket, but this is a dump bucket that we've been using to refresh all of... Mic down, sorry guys.
Okay. You got it?
So this is what we've been using to refresh all of our glasses. So we've been dumping all of the added...
so we have a soda soup.
So we have a soda soup, essentially.
It smells
now,
good.
The question is...
Smell it.
What does it smell like?
It has a very...
I'm more intrigued
right?
by this than any one of the sodas in particular.
I think we created something delicious.
I think with a little bit of ingenuity, some mixology...
This is actually amazing. Smell it.
I mean, I'm not going to say amazing, but
No, say amazing. Say amazing. It has a very warm, welcoming scent.
Drink it.
Okay.
I can't believe she's actually doing that. Remember, we did not spit into this.
So this does not taste good.
It doesn't taste. I think we're starting to be affected by the sugar a little bit.
What do you think? One more time.
This is not something you should be ingesting. This is not. It's. Let me say it's warm. The carbonation's gone.
It's very warm in this apartment, so this...
We're in Los Angeles. Well, yeah, we're in Burbank essentially right now.
Do you want to add some ice and lime juice into it?
I think... I mean, what I wanted to do potentially maybe was nuke these in the microwave to get them hot. We don't have a microwave. And I don't want to put them in the oven because that
Why
would...
would you put this in a microwave?
Because when you heat it up, it will intensify the aromatics as long as you don't burn it. But if you put it on the stove, it'll caramelize the sugar, so it's not accurate. What I love about the Moxie...
Where is it made?
Is look at the guy on this label, right? He is in a business suit. He's like a Dapper Dan. He's got loads of product in his hair, and he's pointing at us as if to say, you better believe this is the real deal. I mean, that is... I mean... That's a weird like mascot to have on your soda. A guy in a business suit.
I want to go to their website.
I think it was the
They
big
do
brand.
have the website. Orca Beverage.
Oof.
Okay, so
I think that's gonna conclude our.
this one is made in Detroit. What about this